Hello, today I'm going to show you how you can start a Zoom meeting. I'm going to show you how you can set up your Zoom settings to work with a class of pupils and make sure everything is safe and as secure and manageable for you as can be. And then I'm going to show you how you can start or schedule your first Zoom meeting in the future and share your room code or link so that pupils can access it. So let's get on with it. So first thing, best way to access Zoom is to go into Google and just type in Zoom. It will be the #1 search. I'm going to click Zoom conferencing. Now you will need an account. If you work with your school, they will probably give you an account or have one they recommend. Hit sign in. I'm going to sign in with my Google Apps account. Now, once it loads, this is your start point. Simplest way to start a meeting, if you go to host a meeting for pupils, so we're going to host a meeting, we're going to go with video on. Now Zoom will then say, do you want to open the application? If you've done it before, Zoom will say open. However, it's the first time you're doing it, you'll need to download it and then do this. But the website will guide you through it. Zoom then appears in your screen like this, and as participants arrive, you'll see in the manage participants here, the names will come down this side and you will then be able to talk to them. Now I've got no one coming in at the minute, but I'm assuming that you will have seen how Zoom works with people coming in and that you can chat to. If you want to record your session, you hit the record button down here and that will save it locally on your hard disk. If you want to share your screen, you hit share screen, and then you have a choice of things that you can share with anybody there that is watching. Next thing I wanted to do was show you how to do your settings, and so for that it's important to go back to our Zoom meeting. We're going to go to my account, and then down this left hand side we're going to click on settings. Now these are all the settings that you just need to have think about when you are running your Zoom meetings with pupils. So host video, I like to have my host video on, so I have that blue is on. Participants video, I put that on. You could have it off. The children don't have to have their cameras on, and if you're concerned about that, you can have them off. The audio type, you're probably not going to have anybody coming in on a telephone. However, you could, if somebody's internet isn't working, you can get them to telephone in and you can come back and change this setting. However, audio type, you want to keep on computer audio. Join before host. Allow participants to join before the meeting or host arrives. You probably don't want that on. Use your personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. You probably do want that one on. It just means it keeps your ID number the same every time. Okay, and use your personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. Yes, you probably do. Zoom gives you an option to keep your own ID number and password, and so often it can be useful for children just to know those and know how to find you easily. Only authenticated users can join the meetings from web client. Yes, it's important to have that on. Require a password when scheduling new meetings. Yes, you want your password on. Require a password for instant meetings. They've turned that one off because you're going to use your personal meeting ID, which has that involved. Now, require a password for personal meetings ID. This is what I was just talking about. Yes, you want that on, and you want to change your password using this little line, this pencil here, to something recognizable. Probably on yours, if you're doing this the first time, it'll have a number in there. Now I changed mine to geography because I'm a geography teacher, and pupils will remember that because that's the subject they're trying to access. So when they log on to Zoom, they use your link, and then it will ask them for a password to which they're going to type in geography. Embed passwords in meeting link. Yes, you want that. So that the idea is that geography password is put in a link. So if you put that into Google Classroom or some other tool, the people will click on it. They don't need the password. Okay, it's only if they typed in the code. require passwords for participants joined by phone. Well, yes, you probably want that if that happened. Mute participants on entry? No, probably not, because you wouldn't want them to be thinking, why can't anybody hear me when they enter? Upcoming meeting reminders, doesn't matter either way, really. When you're in the meeting, inquire third-party encryption. You can choose that or not. It won't make a big difference. Chat. Allow meeting participants to send a message visible to all participants. I use that quite often, so yeah, I'm going to keep that on. But I am going to click prevent them from saving the chat. Private chat. Allow participants to send one-to-one messages to another participant. I would turn that off, I think. That's up to you, but I wouldn't necessarily want the children sending messages to each other while we're doing a lesson. Auto-saving chats. I think I'd want that. I want a record of what went on, just as a helpful record in the background. Play a sound when participants join or leave. That's up to you. It can be good to have a little ping when somebody joins in. And you can choose whether you want that heard by the host and everybody or just by the host. I think I'm just going to have it by me. I'll stop the distractions for the children, but I'm aware if somebody joins in part way through. File transfer. Good to have file transfer on, because then you can send files across Zoom if you want. Feedback to Zoom, I wouldn't bother with that. Display end of meeting experience feedback survey, I won't bother with that. Always show meeting control toolbar. Probably want that. I turn it off because I know where they are, but if you're new to Zoom, you would want that on so that you can always have the controls available to you and see you. Show Zoom windows during screen share. It's up to you. That means whether it shows the things like the chat and the webcams is up to you when you're sharing your screen. Okay. Who can screen share? I would go with host only. You might want the children to share their screen, in which case you come back here and change this. But there's nothing more annoying than you're talking and a child just hits the screen share button and it takes over what everybody else is looking at, and it just disrupts what you're doing on Zoom. So I would have who can share screen sharing on host only. Just going to save that. Disable desktop screen share for all for users. I've clicked that to disable, so that's okay. Allow participants to use annotation tools and add information to shared screens. I'm going to turn that off as well. Again, it could be a useful teaching tool, and in that case I will put it on, but I just don't want the children. It can be really annoying again when you're talking and children could just find the annotation and just draw on your screen, which disrupts everybody who's listening. So I'm going to keep that off. The whiteboard, yes, that's a useful thing. I'm going to keep that on. I'm going to save the whiteboard content when we've stopped. The remote control, during the screen share, you can remote control a pupil's computer, but you probably don't want to do that. I would turn that off. Non-verbal feedback. Yeah, there are some icons that pupils do. They can press as putting up a hand, and things like that, where they can interact with the lesson, and that can be quite helpful to see that on their screen, especially if you've muted everybody. Allow remove participants to rejoin. No, I will keep that off for me, because if I remove somebody from the meeting, I probably don't want them back. Allow participants to rename themselves. I'm going to say no to that one as well. They can just have their normal names written out. Breakout rooms, you may want to look at having a breakout room so you can sign those on, that's okay. Remote support you probably don't want. Closed captioning probably doesn't matter. Save captions you're not going to want. You're not going to want to control their computers. Virtual backgrounds. Allow users to replace their background with any images. The children love this and they spend a long time thinking about it, but actually it's probably better they have a virtual background than a background of something in their house. That will, that's probably a good thing. Identify guest participants in the meeting or webinar. You're not really going to have that. Auto answer group chat. You probably don't want that because that would disrupt the flow of the lesson. Only show default emails when sending email invites. You're not going to send invites by email probably, so all these email ones probably don't matter. Allow users to select stereo audio in their client settings. Yes, you can allow them to do that. You definitely want a waiting room. Waiting room means the children wait there and people wait there before you select them into your Zoom call, and you'll get a little message saying so-and-so's in the waiting room, and then you allow them into the lesson. And it also means it keeps out people you don't want in the lesson. And that there, I think, is everything that you need to do. So, last thing to show is how to schedule a meeting. So you hit schedule a meeting in the top right. You can then enter your time. So I'm going to enter my geography class time. I'm going to make it 9th of April, 12 o'clock. It's going to be 1 hour. You could have it as a recurring meeting, so it's always, you set it every week. That would be okay. I'm going to use my personal ID number, which is this one here, and geography there is my password. And you can select various other options. Now, we've already pre-selected lots of these things before. We do want to enable the waiting room, and then we're just going to click save. Now, what I then want to do is I want to copy the invitation. Now this has the password included. So I'm going to copy that there. And then I might go to something like Google Classroom and I say today's Zoom meeting is here. And the idea is that will then produce a link. It might be better to add it as if you're in Google Classroom, to actually add it as a link that they can click on. As well as the link, I would recommend also putting in the code, which is this meeting ID here. And I would write Zoom code, because some of them will have to do it on a device where they can't get the link from Google Classroom. So the Zoom code was that, and then the password that we declared earlier was geography. So there we go. So I hope that's given you a good idea of how to use Zoom and the settings that you need to make a good class.